to the Critical Forum. The Critical Forum has been a feature of Document for many years now, providing a platform to unpack and discuss some of the broader threads or topics that emerge from the program. And this year we thought we'd address the kind of elephant in the room, which is the fact that we're all here in this online space experiencing a human rights film festival. And we'd like to take this opportunity to basically open up this space to discuss and reflect on the ways in which human rights film festivals have been affected by the pandemic, how they've changed and adapted, as well as what this means for their identity, their mission, values, and relationships to audiences and filmmakers. So I'll stay in the panel here, but for now, I'd like to hand over to Arsh Kili, who will moderate this discussion. Arsh has been part of the document submissions viewing team for a few years, and he's also currently doing a PhD on human rights film festivals in the Global South. So I think he might bring some very interesting insights and lead the conversation. So over to you now, Arsh.
Thanks very much, Alex. So really happy to be here moderating this panel. We've got like a really nice, diverse kind of range of voices here. So I'm just going to introduce everyone a wee bit briefly, and then I'll give everyone a chance, maybe 5 minutes each or so, just to kind of talk about their work, the history behind it, and if they want to then maybe outline some of the obstacles they faced this year. So of course, on the panel is Alexandra Kolta, who's the producer of Document. Alex has also written her doctoral thesis on human rights film festivals, so I know she'll have a lot of insight to bring to the panel here today. We've also got Giulia Gracili from the Human Rights Nights Festival in Bologna, and Giulia is also a researcher who I think has been working with Alex on an article about the Human Rights Film Network and the first wave of COVID. So that'll also be really interesting to hear about. I'm also really happy to have Manu Sobral here with me today. So Manu is a contact of mine that I've made in my own doctoral research over in Sao Paulo. Manu is the producer and curator over at Entre Todos Film Festival in Sao Paulo. And we've been kind of collaborating a lot over this very long year. We've been on a panel together in Bolivia and in Brazil and now here in Glasgow, which is a nice way to wrap it up. So thanks for coming, Manu. And we also have Magali Rocha, who is the producer of Volverte a Ver, To See You Again, which is a really, really incredibly powerful documentary about women who've taken it into their own hands to hold the state accountable for the disappeared in Mexico. If you haven't seen that yet, I'd really, really encourage you to go look at it. It's still up on the Document platform, of course. So very, very happy to have Magali with us, and also Carolina Corral, who's the director of the film as well too. So really, really happy. It's an incredible piece of work. So really, really privileged to have you both here. So yeah, if everyone maybe just wants to take about 5 minutes to introduce yourself, your work, you can maybe outline some of the obstacles you've seen this year, and then we'll get into them more in depth. So let's start kind of the opposite way I've introduced you. So if Magali and Carolina maybe want to talk a little bit about their film, and I know they've got an impact campaign to go along with it. So if you want to tell us a little bit about your film and how the pandemic's affected your work this year.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Good morning from Mexico. It's nice to be in this panel. Thank you for inviting us. Yes, our film, for those who haven't seen it, it's called Volverte a Ver, To See You Again, and it's based in Mexico. The context is the thousands of people that have disappeared since the so-called war on drugs started, which is actually not a war on drugs. It's more the militarization of the country and the profit that organized crime and government are making with the bodies of migrants, of women, of poor people, etc. So the film follows three mothers who have relatives missing, and while searching for them, they discovered that not the organized crime, the government had a mass grave where they kept 200 bodies. So they demanded that the government open this pit, exhume the people, and identify them to return them to their families. So the film follows them really closely on this task and how they discover all the crimes committed by the government when they buried the body. This is our film. The protagonists are really powerful, so we do invite you to watch it. And we had an interesting year of presentations, mainly online. Our premiere was going to be in Guadalajara Film Festival in Mexico, and that got canceled. So that's where our COVID year started. Magali will tell you a little bit more about what we could achieve and what was like what got on the way.
Thank you.
So Maga.
Hi everyone, thank you very much for this invitation and for have our film in the festival. We hope you can see it. Yes, I am the producer of the film. This is our first feature film, and from Caro and I, and we released it during COVID, so it was an experience to release a film in this new world context. Since we were finishing the production, we realized we wanted to have an impact campaign for the film. So we wanted to have not only a traditional distribution, but thinking about how to use it like a tool for change. And we started to design this campaign with Merle Lina, the impact producer for this film. So when we sent it to a lot of festivals and COVID arrived, so we start to redesign the campaign, and we named Dig Up the Truth, Desenterrar la Verdad is the name of our impact campaign. So we started with some goals, and when COVID arrived and struck Mexico and all the world, we need to start to rethink about our goals, no? So it was difficult, but it was interesting also, and we decided to go back to our goals, and we think to yes, our goals were to accompany and support relatives and groups through the movie, and to speak about the forensic crisis in Mexico, and to influence the case of mass graves in Morelos. So there were like a lot of the different sorry. Yeah, so at the end, we thought we opened conversations with other search groups in Mexico about how to document mass graves, support the Morelos search groups in their negotiations regarding human identifications with the local and state government, push the local government to give the first steps toward reopening the mass grave, and generate more than 100 articles in Mexico and other countries about the human rights issues and forensic crisis. So there was the results of our campaign.
Great, thank you. Manu, if you'd like to speak now.
Hi, everyone. So I am from Brazil. I'm here representing Entre Todos. Is a human rights short film festival of São Paulo, Brazil. Since 2007, the festival promotes the debates around human rights with short films mainly, and also with all kinds of resilient art, including music and expanded cinema expanded. It has the mission to inform, to discuss, to show films, and to listen to the audience in general, to the social movements, to the kids, the teens from the public education, and the prisoner population. So it's mainly on the field work, really. We are sponsored by SPCine, which is the film agency of São Paulo, Brazil. And we have many partnerships with many institutions and cultural centers. We are a decentralized festival Entre Todos screenings happen inside more than 40 spaces, independent and public cultural spaces, public schools, and prisons. We are inside 18 prisons. It's 1 week festival in the presential mode. And during the year, we happen as an itinerary project. But now, pandemic, so everything changed. We did it online. So yes, about the challenges. So we lost part of our important work. We didn't have so much of a virtual window because we were so much focused on the field work and the social work, like direct with the society. So we are pretty much into talking to people, going to see people, organizing all this in this human scale. So, and inside 18 prisons, female, male, and also prisons for teenagers. So it's a lot of physical work. So now in this year for us, it was really like different because we couldn't be there anymore as affection, canals of affection, or I don't know, reflection. So yes, so we did it online. So Osh participated in one of the Zoom, the lives we did about the prisoner system. So this year we talk, because this is the subject that comes a lot, about maternity in prison, because in Brazil, there are lots of pregnant women in prison, so, and little babies and everything. So, so during COVID, is that we lost the prisoner population and all the discussions and the votes, because it's a competitive festival in the sense that we give 5 prizes in money, but it's not to stimulate the competitive mentality, more to, it's a way to help to, I don't know how to say this in English, incentivar, how do you say this, Osh?
Incentivize, promote.
Incentivize, promote those productions coming from different places, not the central places, but all. Yes, we are quite lucky this year with COVID. No one is lucky, I know, and I don't think pandemic is opportunity for no one. It's really massive what is happening now. But it was nice because we could understand and stop for a moment and say, okay, we don't have any virtual presence, no online almost presence. So it was interesting because we devote more time to that. So we improve our website, we did our own platform. So all the films were shown inside our platform. This was a lucky thing also because we did it in September. So it was, at least in Brazil, Latin America, as I could see, one of the first festivals that was happening online in this format. So we still had the possibility to put the films in our platform. And we did an Instagram with many talks, interesting talks with people all over the world, because that's the point then in virtual world. Like I can be in Scotland, in England, in Mexico, whatever. So this was interesting because it's a new network and new horizon for the festival. Yes, we also lost like lots of kids from the schools because then they were or studying at home or not studying at all. So we did some partnerships with teachers and school directors. So the students were told to go to the festival and to vote and to participate, but then, it's like we cannot really understand this. And we also lost some kind of the social movements because we also do projections in like occupations, squats. So this was not possible anymore. Public spaces, park and cultural centers. Yeah, but in the other hand, we have this contact, these connections, this something to do in the future with other persons that we didn't met before. I don't know if you have any questions, because there are lots of things to say. And if you have any question afterwards, you can ask me. I'll be glad to answer.
Yeah, perfect. I think we'll definitely get time to go into all that a lot more. Julia, if you'd like to talk about your work, please.
I'm the director of Human Rights Nights, which is a Human Rights Film Festival in Italy, one of the ones. And but I will talk mainly about the Human Rights Film Network experience, I guess. Just to say a few words about Human Rights Nights, we decided not to have a festival online because it's mainly to do, as you say, I mean, through engagement and having people around. And so especially our partner were not in favor of having that, and lots of events were happening online, so we just decided to postpone. We did an event on our social media, Human Rights Nights 2.0 Creative Energy, so kind of like trying to give a sense in the same time of the dates that our festival was supposed to be, to just say we are here. It was supposed to be our 20th anniversary, so we just celebrated like this, and then we have postponed it to December, but of course December was again lockdown, and now we're waiting to see what happens in spring. But I think we will then have a hybrid events in which we will be able to have some people, probably if everything progress well, but then at the same time we will engage with what we have learned. In fact, what Manuela said, the possibility of using the visuals to actually connect and be all together at the same place. So we'll probably be trying to have both, like in presence and a virtual events to connect with more people. So I really thanks the opportunity to be here with Alexandra and all of you, because so we can share the experience of the Human Rights Field Network. The Human Rights Field Network is a network of around between 30 and 40 festivals around the world. They're all human rights based film festivals, in a sense that we all screen films which have to do with human rights, but also at the same time each festival is quite independent, and we all have different ways in which we engage with human rights, with events, with talks, and collateral events with musics, and as I say, you know, schools, engagement in outreach in different places. And I was in the board of the Human Rights Film Network Directive last year, and we started to think, there's a committee of a few people in the board, and we started to, in June last year, May, I guess, we started to, after the initial shock of what is happening, actually it was even earlier, I guess, we started to think that it was we usually have an annual meeting in November, but we decided it was actually very important to start to reach out to each other and trying to understand how all of our festival members and friends were doing around the world. So we sent out a call to all the festivals to just say how are you doing, how are you coping with these situations, and how are you, you know, resisting, adapting, what are you going to do. At the same time, we wanted to also ask if there was anything that the Human Rights Field Network could do, try to reach out. So a survey was also sent out so that everybody could actually express what is it, you know, they were dealing with, how they were coping, and especially to share experiences. And then we had a meeting, like a virtual meeting in July, where I think we were around 20 festivals from all over the world, and we share further our experiences. And it was for me, it was, and probably Alexander can say too, was like a very, very touching time, because usually sometimes we have difficulties in connecting, but I guess the fact that we were in these situations was very, very important for us to be together. So well, we had November when we met, but with Alexandra, we started to think about writing something about, you know, all around everybody saying, you know, how Cannes and Tribeca and Venice is doing in this, but there was no talk about us, about festivals which are maybe smaller, maybe less on the spotlight, but not less important. And especially we felt that many of our festivals are actually not so much sad about missing the deadline or so much, but missing the people, missing the opportunity to be there for the communities. So we decided that it was probably best to start getting together all of these experiences and trying to draw some conclusions. So we thought that, okay, of course, we thought that we needed to try and map out how human rights film festival across the world resisted and adapted in time of COVID, and what was the impact of such emergency on festival organizations in different contexts. And we found from the survey that there were different ways in which festivals were impacted and resisted. So some were surprised by the lockdown and the quarantine. Many festivals are in spring. So in spring, for instance, Movies That Matter, the Festival of Human Rights in Geneva, and the One World in Prague were actually being caught up in the sparking of the pandemic and the lockdown, global lockdown. Some were just ended their programming, like in Oslo or in Valencia. Some decided to postpone or cancel, like ourselves, and at the same time, all of them were like exploring strategies and alternatives for shifting towards either an online or a hybrid models, trying to adapt to ongoing COVID circumstances. What really was important for us, and what really stand out from the surveys, which are, from what we have seen, that we are trying now to write in a more comprehensive article so that we can share also beyond this forum, is the role of the creativity, the resistance, the community solidarity, the resources, and the social networks in different local contexts, in different ways. This festival, although very little budget, very difficult, like all different. Some have got big budget, some have less. But what shared all is this idea of community solidarity, and the idea anyway to go beyond whatever it was the role of the creativity and the resilience that happened and emerged, and also the role of the Human Rights Film Network and its global outreach. The fact that we were able to connect, share knowledge. There was a webinar that was made after our meeting in July to share experiences and practices and how to learn how to put a festival online. And maybe the other thing that we found, apart from, in fact, the inventiveness, the resilience, the responsibility, and the ability to connect a global level beyond physical restriction, was also the fact that there is this human global aspect of the specific nature of Human Rights Film Festival, which you will see in your own experiences, that communities served by festival are often some of the most vulnerable to the pandemic, and at the same time the pandemic has added some difficulties to those festivals that are already under political and legal pressures, like for instance Hong Kong. And so we're just still in the process of looking at this material, and of course we will try to have a further follow-up reflection beyond, like now that we've gone through, maybe ask like I did now to Alexandra, so how was it? Because we're all still trying to figure it out, like how did I think in the end, it was also very sad because of course in different contexts, different festivals have been impacted differently. So some had some festival members that were actually ill in hospital. So there's been some crucial, but yes, just we're in the process now to try to understand and so maybe Alexandra would like to add some more on this. We just felt that I'm working in academia, and I'm an avid reader of Screen International and Variety, all of that. There was no word of these amazing efforts that all of our festival, your festivals are doing to support, which is similar to what the communities have been done throughout the world. So we thought just a little bit more of a view on that was necessary in the industry to just understand, like the reality. Maybe Alexandra, you would like to add on that? I don't know, I just.
Please, Alex.
Yeah, it is, I think, that survey that emerged from the Human Rights Film Network, collecting those experiences, was very interesting and valuable document, I think, that just shows how resilient and how much human rights film festivals are working in the spirit of community and of solidarity and of sharing rather than competing. And I thought it was I mean, one of the things that was very interesting for me while reading those experiences was that, and something that I also discovered in my own research and experience of working in a human rights film festival, is that they are very vulnerable, and they are struggling to be sustainable. And one of the things that they were doing is to just try and work throughout the year, so to have events, not just the few days of the festival, but try to have other events and engage communities throughout the year. But with the pandemic and everything that happened, and the shrinking of funds, that even made the situation of these festivals even worse in terms of surviving, and just kind of existing and being there for their communities. So yeah, it's really interesting to see how they also reconsidered their own roles and identity and their own function in a society, in the societies and communities that they work with. And maybe, yeah, we can talk about some more like specific examples, or yeah, how they've changed almost completely their role and their activities, basically. But yeah, and also that was very clear also in document, I mean 2020, because obviously our festival usually takes place in October, at the end of October, and you know, in the cinema space, and we have like 18-20 feature-length films in the program, but we've had to change quite a lot, and we've had this question also whether we should keep going, whether we should keep, or just skip this year and hope for, you know, next year and be in person, or, you know, you're faced with all these questions of what you can do, what you should do, what is, if the festival will survive if you don't do anything, and all of these things. So yeah, we kind of decided to go ahead with the online version, and we'll still spend some time after this to unpack and see how it went, and if it had some sort of impact, and was able to reach out to audiences. But it's just, yeah, something that I think is still need more time to reflect and to see what works and what doesn't, and what comes out of this. But yeah.
Mm. Yeah, I think that's actually maybe a good place to go next, is the idea of audience, because all these, whether it's the film or the festivals, you've all got kind of an ideal audience, I guess, in some way, whether that's more specific or whether that's like as broad as possible. So I was wondering what how your idea of audience has guided you in any adaptations you've made this year. So that might be thinking of audience access. You know, maybe not everybody has access to high-speed internet or the technology to go to an online festival, or it might even just be kind of in terms of like attention span, because like just to cut through everything at the moment, there's so much in people's heads. Like, how do you reach people right now with a documentary, with a human rights film festival? And what material do you curate for them? You know, has it changed what you showed? Has it changed, for instance, in the impact campaign, has it changed like particular ways that you've tried to engage people now? So yeah, if you all maybe just want to talk a little bit about that, about how audience has been a factor in any changes you've made, and we can go maybe the same route again. So Carolina, if you'd like to start.
Yes, thanks. It's very interesting to hear you all on all the efforts you've made as human rights film festivals. Yes, for us was interesting because at the beginning when the pandemic started, our film touches such a strong topic that we almost even felt guilty to bring it out because people were already devastated by all the news. Then in September, October, we started showing it in festivals, and between September and December, several film festivals in Mexico occurred, as well as Sheffield Dog Fest, which we got in England. It was our world premiere. So that actually worked good for us because in a span of 3 months, we had a lot of festivals that we went on. And despite I'm one of the, probably I follow Julia's worldview in that it's very difficult for me to think us online, to think our lives online. It's very hard for me, but like seeing the good things about it, the fact that the film was online a lot of the time for those 3 months was good for the film. It also allowed a lot of because sometimes festivals is for like, yeah, festivals sometimes is for people that know cinema, if they're not wide huge festivals. So the fact that the film was online was good, so that families of people, families that have someone disappeared in Mexico, could watch it. So we, for example, in one of the festivals we were at, we sponsor a lot of tickets, because in that festival you had to pay a little fee to see the film. So we sponsor a lot of tickets, and we launched a call for the relatives of people missing, so that they could access the film anywhere in Mexico. So I think one of the good things about online streaming was that people across Mexico could watch it, no matter where they were. So that was one of the good things we saw. And yeah, the film has been in England a few times now with Documenta, with Sheffield, and in Mexico in several festivals. So those were one of the good inputs, besides the nostalgia of like when we will see each other again. Also, the mothers have been participating with us in a lot of the online calls. So we keep making online press releases, online pushing the demands that they have with the government. So we've been trying to push the political campaign that they have as well, as much as we can online. That's our experience.
Magali, do you have anything to add to that, or?
Maybe I can say also that we, with all this, we create an open link also, and we start to sharing with families and mothers, and we saw that there was a lot of watch abuse in this link. So it was like a good idea to start sharing the film in a different, yes, with a different distribution strategy. No?
Thank you. Manu, do you want to talk about this, maybe how you try and reach your kind of original audiences in the prisons and the favelas, and then also, I guess, the new audiences you're finding?
Yeah. So for us, it's like internet is not working in all the territory in Brazil. This is what pandemic came to say also to Brazil. Not only that we have a genocide as a president, as you all know, and I believe I don't need to develop this subject, but that Brazil is extremely unequal, and technology is one of the themes, the topics of inequality here, and pandemic just bring the inequalities like in front of the space of minds and everything, more than anything else. So like we had many problems because we are a decentralized festival. Like we are not concentrated in the center. Like as Carolina said, and I agree with her, and that's why Entre Todos choose another path. It's like film festival are for people who love cinema, student cinema, people who had already like this contact with image art, etc. So we are not occupying the central cultural spaces. We are Osh but it's not as strong as our presence in the peripheral zones, prisons and everything. So yes, for us it was like not possible because the students, the schools where we were, they are in areas with no internet. Prisons, it's already very complicated to do something there. Like we are working on it like for 5-6 years, and step by step, because we are during the whole year, we are part of a forum for culture inside the cultural system. So it's a very big job, and it's complicated to go there. And now during the pandemic, they don't have internet, so you have to go physically. we couldn't go, we tried to manage a way, like because we have a course, because as we don't have many people to go in all those places during the whole year, we do like a course for that we say to multiply our possibilities to go to places. So for monitors, so it's the course, it's many things, human rights, arts, films, and then the monitors go with the festival in these places, and they can create discussions and blah blah. So they help us to multiply the. So some people who will work inside the system, the prisonal system, they were online doing this course. But then it was just a few people that was really interested, people who work inside the prison system, because they were already there, so they could multiply the festival there, even during the pandemic. But there are not a lot of people from the prison system that actually went to the course. And then, you know, as we can't have no presence there, it's very complicated to know if the films were shown, discussed, and everything. Schools, the same thing. Favelas, the same thing. We don't say favelas anymore here, we say communities. And we actually one indigenous film won a prize, and we couldn't say, like, they couldn't know, like they couldn't go online to the ceremony, and they just knew that they had this prize like 2 weeks later, because the tribe was really in a bad situation, no internet. And also, you know, indigenous people here, as it's not the first epidemic that kills them, you know, like since the beginning, since the arrival from the Portuguese, like they are being killing, they have this very high knowledge about epidemics and death and mass. So they are creating new tribes, they are going inside the forests, and then they are not filming this. They actually don't want us to know what is happening, in my opinion, I don't know, but it's, so yeah, so for us, it was very interesting to know people from other countries, and especially Latin America.
Great. Julia, if you want to talk about, I guess, the different ways you've seen festivals be guided by an idea of audience and the changes they've made. Oh, you're still muted there, Julia.
Just trying to be very discreet. So the Human Rights Film Network comprise festivals which are very diverse, and in many different places in the world, from Europe to Africa and everyone. I mean, I have to say that in the survey we have little analysis coming from festivals from African countries, but there's also have to be said that during the pandemic and during the times of the festival, some of the festival have been impacted also by external aspects, for instance, Ethiopia or the Sahrawi. So I have to say that it's a very, very different, even the festivals like Genève and Movies That Matter, who have gone online, they've said that they've actually have seen a loss of audience. At the same time, they have felt that their audience were able to follow. Some of the festivals have thought that maybe the audience does not have access, like for instance Peru or even ourselves. We just thought there were too many things online at the time. So even for like drama in the online, now probably it's a little better time than at that time. At that time everything was online again, and so many things happening, and not used to be. So I guess there is a very different situation. So at the same time, there's very good cases. Like for instance, Bolivia, Sucre Festival went online, and it was really happy after the results, and Jordan as well. So we still need to have a look at that. Surely, in some sense, there have been some positive response. Not everybody has been able. Even the actor in the US said, for instance, they don't think the audience is a bit older audience, and they missing the festival experience. Maybe not so many people would have gone online to view the events. So it's a mixed response, I guess, of the audience, and then the way in which, and also, as I said, for instance, Guatemala decided not to even, like, as Alexandra said, it impacted a lot on vulnerable and funding. For instance, we couldn't do it. Our donors would not give us the funding, not even, to do a festival online. So it all depends on the situations and on the context. I know African Bamba, for instance, in Senegal, we were, like I'm part of the board as well. They were thinking of starting to do a festival again in September, October. Of course, they didn't even think about it just for funding, but also the internet connection is not such that you can even try to do. So it depends on the internet connection. It depends on the ways in which people are used to go. And as all the sites activity, all the events that you do as gathering the communities, because human rights film festivals are not just screening films, but actually is the experience of putting people together that you can try to do a little bit online, but not everyone can participate. From my own personal experience, we try to bridge, many different sites of, for instance, undocumented migrants in Bologna, very young, how could they, like it is very difficult to try to access. But of course, from the results, there were also very good responses. Argentina, I think, had a very good feedback from. So I don't know. Maybe Alexandra, you want to add something, because I'm just probably making more confusion than clarity.
Yeah, I think, well, firstly, to just talk a little bit about our experience with Document, because we've started in the summer, I think it was July, when we were thinking of doing some online events, part of our year-round activity. And we did some kind of screenings and two discussion events in collaboration with the Scottish Refugee Council. And that was also to discuss kind of the impact of the pandemic on refugees and asylum seekers. And we were also, thinking, we were trying to use the festival in a way as a platform to discuss these issues and to really try to make them more visible. And that was really, I think, because of what was happening at that time in Glasgow as well, in terms of accommodation for asylum seekers and the incidents that were happening, it really showed how much, there isn't, these things are still not talked about in the media, and there is the potential there to engage with an audience that is looking for answers and is looking for ways to react. So I think that was really an interesting experience for us to think that, there is a space for a festival within this kind of oversaturated media landscape, I guess, to still address some of these issues and provide some resources for action, or for just kind of reflection, or just doing something as, in a very personal way, if collectively is not so much possible at the moment. But also in terms of like the research, the survey with other human rights film festivals around the world, I thought it was really interesting to see how these festivals are trying to think about how to make their practices more kind of sustainable and fair. And I guess, taking extra care when presenting films, taking extra care when, paying screening fees, and ensuring the films are seen by as many people as possible, but in a very secure way as well, like in a very to keep the films very secure and protected, I guess. And also, just in this way, like how festivals can serve their audiences and also their filmmaking communities as well. Like I was just reading about some festivals who have done these very little things, from donating their Zoom account to filmmakers or community activists, basically, because there's also has a cost attached to it, and it's not so easy to access all these platforms or internet or things like that. So I think the way in which some human rights film festivals have taken this opportunity to help out others is really impressive. And yeah, from audiences to community activists, community groups to filmmakers and so on.
Yeah, I'll ask a question, maybe just kind of building on that, because you've all sort of touched on the idea of networks in answering that question. I'll keep an eye on the time though as well. So if anybody does want to ask a question, just put it in the chat and we'll do our best to read it out as well too. But I guess, yeah, I mean, the fact that we're all here in this Zoom together, like Human Rights Film Festivals, Document, we have the odd guest over, but we would never have the budget to fly in, you know, 2 people from Mexico, someone from Brazil and someone from Italy or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like it wouldn't happen. But because this has all been normalized, there is that, I know Manu doesn't like the word opportunity, but there is that space now for these new networks to grow up. So yeah, I guess I just wanted to ask a sort of a general question about how you've seen your networks change through this year. So whether that's the networks that the film is kind of finding roots through, or I know Manu will have a lot to say about this because with Entre Todos, they've done like a lot of work getting kind of networks together. And of course, Julia and Alex have been researching the Human Rights Film Network. So I guess just, yeah, that networks and solidarity, if you want to kind of maybe develop that a little bit more. So Magali or Carolina, if you'd like to start.
Maybe I want to say also that this year I discovered the Human Rights Film Network, and I was very surprised. And I think it's a very, very useful tool for producers. And I use it a lot for submit my film. And it's all very clear, and the agenda, and I submit for all the festivals of human rights. And I want to say it's a very good tool for us for this side, no, for filmmakers.
Okay, well, maybe Manu, if you'd like to talk about your experience of networks this year.
Yeah, so there are many kinds of network that we did. Like first with groups in Brazil, activists, online groups in Instagram. Instagram was really a very useful tool for us, probably because it's for free. Like in the Zoom, maybe you have to pay, but in Instagram, there's a lot of activism and a lot of indigenous activism and Black Lives Matter in Brazil activism also in Instagram. So we use it a lot, and also because we like the intimate kind of settle that is just one-to-one talks. So it was very useful for us to do as many talks as we could. We talked with a Mexican girl. She did a film about immigrant people in Brazil and in Mexico. We talk with people in Portugal, in Asia. It was really interesting because suddenly it's like the word, but we talk really one-to-one, like tete-a-tete. It was really interesting, like this Instagram thing. And then as we were in the beginning of the pandemic, we also were experimenting a lot because we didn't have lots of examples of other festivals like with that little budget, you know, to do this. So we connect with this experimental platform also, like people from experimental video, experimental arts in Brazil. So they give us their Zoom space and also their technical abilities. So as they are used to do online performances, it was really nice because we did like we simulate like a cinema session. So it was like in the beginning of the pandemic. So the people were there because we had like 300 people watching this 4 hours lives in YouTube. So it was really special because it was in the beginning. I think now it's too much like to have as we did. It was crazy, but it was interesting because we were with this experimental people from experimental art, digital art. And for them, like 5 hours, 10 hours event online is just so beautiful. So it had this energy, interesting energy. And then, of course, like I was looking after the international networks. So it was in the beginning of the year, I contact Osh also saying, oh, we need like, even if it's because we feel so isolated, because also here we have pandemic and then Bolsonaro, you know, we have like it's a lot. But then, so it was really nice. So I found the Human Rights Network and other activism networks also around the world. And I think, yes, we in Latin America, it was super nice because we connect with Tenemos Que Ver, and then we did this very close, like I was jury member of the jury of her festival, and she came and did some stuff in our festival. So we did very close like internship. Now her film is in our cine club, because we have permanently, like we did a online cine club during the whole year. So we just show once a week, like one film, and then we discussed in Instagram with the director or producer. So she's part of our cine club. We are part of her actions there. And also Bolivia, we had this really beautiful film, because then we had the problem here with the Cinemateca. They closed the Cinemateca in the middle of the pandemic. So, you know, Netflix earning lots of money and everything, like internet images all over, but the Cinemateca with the memory of Brazil and Latin America, and also because it's was closing, you know. So we had this very beautiful film from Bolivia, very like special, antique from this. So yes, this kind of exchange, like we didn't expect this to happen, and it happened, and it was, and we had a big audience online also. Like for us, we are not a giant festival, but it was really not, we had lots of online viewers. But as I said, like affection, it's missing for us, like affection, like physical affection, dancing, dancing together.
That's great, Manu. So yeah, Julia and Alex, if you want to add to that.
Yeah, I can probably say, well, as of Human Rights Nights in Bologna, we kind of suspended our network, I have to say, because in a sense, we do a lot of events with the schools, but it was not possible to continue those in the school. They didn't want it. They were focusing on online teaching. And artists, we did do some events online, as I said, on the social media, and also we did some events in September to try to reconnect and trying to feel we are still here, you know, but we're kind of like postponing. As far as the network, I would say that the network has grown. Like I'd say that I've never seen, you know, I've been at the network since the beginning, and I feel the concern everyone for the others, and the willingness to reach out, to connect, to try to be there for you know, our fellow members festival has made us finally find a lot more you know, commitments. And also we did finally set up, it was a long time, we were saying we need some more communication things, so we did set up a Human Rights Film Network WhatsApp. We're all connecting now, and then we did these online meetings, like for instance, there's always been an issue. The annual meeting is IDFA in Amsterdam in November, and there's always been an issue for the festivals which were coming from you know, countries that need to spend a lot of money to get to Amsterdam, and also maybe some of the festivals with the lower budget. So it was always an issue. So how can we now, you know, also connect online? And then finally, we just very quickly made, you know, an online meetings. And now this year at the IDFA, it was online, and was, you know, very highly participated. So I think participation, connection, exchange, communication has all grown. And this is also probably part of also the fact that we did the year before, in 2019, we started to redefine the board from one chair to four, 3, and now 4, and probably going to have 5 board members. And that also has increased the connection at the regional levels as well, because there's always someone from Asia, Europe, etc. So I would say that our network has
Oh no, we lost Julia. Maybe while she's reconnecting, if you've got anything to add to that, Alex.
Yeah, I would say I would just add to that and say that it's been very useful to like on a very practical level to have that connection, as Julia said, with more festivals from all over the world. And on a very practical level, we just discussed like platforms, what platforms to use, what platforms not to use, what sort of strategies to engage audiences. Can work and all of these practical things. But I would also say there is, at least in Scotland, there is a really good network of local film festivals as well. And throughout this year, we've also had meetings and, you know, trying to learn from each other and trying to improve our practices as well. Like you've mentioned, Osh, at the beginning, I think this kind of accessibility as well. And this is something that I think is just started in the past few years to, you know, become this very important thing that festivals should commit to. And I think this year and having learning from each other only increased that commitment to accessibility and to just try to do as much as we can with the funding we have in terms of increasing access to the films and to the festivals and yeah. So I think it's good to have that sort of local network as well, and organizations that support and build on the experiences that we have. Yeah.
Cool. So that's 4 now. So we should really kind of start to wrap up. There might still be time if anyone wants to get in a last minute question. But for now, I might just ask the panel if there's anything they'd like to ask each other, any final points they'd like to make that they haven't had a chance to talk about yet. Maybe we'll start with Carolina.
Well, yeah, by hearing Alex now, I remember how our relationship with the UK probably grew stronger because we have been in 3 festivals in the UK now this year. When you open one door, then other doors open. So I think that's one of the networks. It got stronger. I just want to say to the small, medium, and big festivals that our film is there. It's available for you to show it if you want to see it, if you want to include it in your programs. It touches uh, a problem that is all over Latin America. So just feel free to write to us if you're interested in showing it. And thanks for saying thanks to the festival and to the other festivals present. It was really nice to make networks with you. So we will be in touch.
Brilliant. Magali?
Yes, only to thank you. And it was very interesting to hear the side of the festivals and for us to see how was your year in pandemic. So thank you very much. And as Carol said, you can have our film if you wanted to program. And then so.
Oh, sorry. Manu? Oh, you're, yeah.
So yeah, so no, I just wanted to thank you all for the invitation, and we are very happy also to be more international than before because it's important also, and because now we are living this problem, this political situation in Brazil, and international communities being very important for us in all the aspects, not only in my micro festival view or big fest, I don't know. Then, so for us, it's really important, like to have this solidarity. I think it really improves creativity because when you can say, okay, you're not suffocating, you have some voice around, so then you become more positive and then you can spread this positivity around. So thank you very much for documents, Alex, Osh, and nice to meet you, Carolina, Magali, and Julia. And of course, we would love to have your film in the Cine Club, but afterwards I'll write to you if you want to do a live with us in the Instagram. It will be great.
Brilliant, brilliant. Networks at work. I don't know. I see Julia Square there, but I don't know. Are you with us, Julia? Maybe not. Alex, if you'd like to round off your comments.
Yeah, but just like to say that again, it's been a year to learn from a lot, and also to learn from the filmmakers and from audiences what they what they want from a human rights film festival as well, how we can do better to engage and to support the messages and the films to get out there. And yeah, I hope we can keep the conversations going, and to also put human rights film festivals more on the map and on the radar of I don't know, just kind of writings and finding out more about when as Julia was saying at the beginning, the industry focused publications or just reports about film festivals have kind of ignored or just overlooked human rights film festivals. And I think there is a lot to learn from these experiences that we've just started to discuss about now. And I think, yeah, there's still more to be done.
I saw Julia came back there, but then she disappeared again.
No, I'm here.
Oh, you're here. You're here. Julia, if you'd like to make just any kind of final comments, or if there's anything else you'd like to say or ask someone before we close down.
Yes, apologies. I don't know what happens, just disappear. Yeah, no, thank you for this very beautiful moment of sharing. And very nice to meet you, whoever the conversation. Yeah, we can continue the conversation and have a further chance to meet up, hopefully even in person, so we can we can get together. Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, this has been fantastic. I'm really happy we managed to get everyone together for this event.
Thank you so much.
So yeah, thanks to Manu, to Magali, to Carolina, to Julia, and obviously to Alex as well too, and to Document for hosting this. So yeah, there's going to be another event at, is it 6:30, Alex? I don't know if you maybe want to flag that up.
There will be a Q&A with Emily Jessir, the director of Letter to a Friend. That's happening at 6:30 also on Zoom. And you can register for that on our website. And also, yeah, there's still 1 day and a half left of the festival, and you can watch the films until then, until Sunday at midnight. So yeah, I hope you enjoy the rest of the festival and all the other events that are happening. And thank you again to all our guests and all our audience members.
And all our audience as well too. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a good day.
Ciao.